Starting the stream, hoping it goes up. Let me see when it's about to go on the line. Let me quick see if this is working. Can anyone hear me singing words and stuff? Just singing and waiting till somebody there cares. Alright, it sounds like I'm up. Oh, echo, echo, echo. Okay. Everything sounds good. Everything looks good. Everybody let me know how you are all doing today. And let me know if you can actually hear me. My music playing? There's the music. Okay. Hopefully that music sounds good. I'm just quick checking stuff. Sorry, I'll check out the chat in just a moment, everybody. There we go. Okay, cool. Cool. Sweet. Alright. Alright. Let me just quick mute myself so I don't hear myself weirdly talking. There we are. Cool. How is everybody? Alright, now I can actually take a look at the chat. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Edward. Maggie. Lighthouseian. Ringworld. Lighthouseian again. Seal. Wellington. Cappuccino. Christy. Let me turn up the sound a little bit. Hopefully, does that sound better? You might be able to hear my AC. I had it down because my mic was picking up the AC in the background, so you might be getting a little bit of the AC, but hopefully that'll do it. Also, my video is banding a little bit. Let me fix that. Is that gonna fix it? There we go. Cool. All right. Does that sound better? How is everyone today? Awesome. Okay. Hello, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning to all of you, because I know there's a bunch of you going on out there in the chat. Let's see. All right. Hello, hey, Mouse Pounder. Always happy to see you lurking, and it's good to see you, Wellington. Good to see you, Carlisle. Of course, Carlisle. I'm more than happy to give you love and support. I hope you're doing better this week, and I hope things are going okay for you. So if it isn't obvious, everybody, I am actually back in Los Angeles. This is back in my apartment with all my stuff over here. Look at all that stuff. So I'm back in Los Angeles, which I have, some good feelings about, some sad feelings about. It's been nice actually to be back and be like with my stuff, and also miss my cat Newt, who is quite literally right next to me. Needing the blanket right there. So let's see. 1 second. Let's see if I can get you a good image of the cat kneading right there. Can you see him? There he is. There, bud. So that's what's happening right next to me right now. Yeah, we all are surviving there, Carlisle. I'm sorry that it's had some ups and downs. And hello, homebody, welcome. That's Newt there, by the way. If anyone doesn't know, that cat right there is Newt. He's just weirdly staring at me as he's kneading. The background is actually, yes, we have Dax in the background, not 7 of 9. That is Dax in the background there. As is usual of my last live stream of the month, I am going to be answering some questions for my Patreons. Yeah, Jamie, my cat, I think it's like him kneading, or he thinks he's like breastfeeding still or whatever. He likes to bite the blanket and sort of knead it as he goes. So that's probably what he's doing. He probably thinks he's like breastfeeding or something by kneading it or whatever. So he just likes to bite the blanket as he does it. So yes, as I was saying before, so since this is the last live stream of the month, that means I answer Patreon questions first. Yeah, I'll talk about bragging about my cats all this live stream, Microraptor. I'm sorry to hear that, Christy. You'll have to tell me that story if you're up for it at some point when we talk next. All right. So first things first, let's jump over to the Patreon questions, and then I'm going to happily answer all the the questions of the chat, and we'll hang out and just talk for the next hour or so. But I want to answer questions first over on my Patreon. So I just saw a libido question from MG Toe Lucid Dream. More than happy to answer libido questions in just a minute, but I want to ask these ones first. Let's see. Here we are. Let me zoom in on these questions for all of y'all. Does that look good to everybody? All right. Maggie Evans, who I know is out there in the chat. I will, sorry, my brain is like weirdly off today. Sorry, everybody. So Maggie Evans, who I know is out there in the chat, I'm going to answer your question first, and thank you for sending in questions. And sorry to everybody too that I posted this super late. I usually post up a day or so beforehand, but just because between moving back to LA and all that stuff, it just slipped my mind. So apologies for that. But Maggie asks, do you ever think it's weird that the Federation seems to be the only good major power in Star Trek, and the others are usually depicted as bad? Edit clarification, what I mean is weird that there isn't another major power who's depicted as favorably as the Federation is. When I first saw this question when you posted it, I was just thinking, like, that can't be true. There's got to be some good powers, like, but there's no, you are correct, there's no, like, major powers in Star Trek that are portrayed as good. I'm trying to think, because there are, like, smaller powers here and there, like different groups and things that I think are portrayed as positive other than the Federation. But you're right, there is no other one, because I'm thinking, like, Klingons, especially in the original series, were definitely, like, a Cold War allegory. We're meant to be like the Russians. And so, but then they became friends in Next Generation, but that was sort of a subversion of that. And I'm trying to think, like, the Ferengi are definitely not good. They're capitalists. And Borg, Romulans, Breen. I mean, there's no real, like, large sympathetic power that I could even think of off the top of my head. And I think the reason for that, I mean, the answer is fairly obvious out of the universe. I mean, the whole point is it creates good drama by having people who are antagonistic to you, and also, like, the point of Star Trek is to show a Federation where humanity has gotten better. And how do you show humanity that it's gotten better? Well, one of the best ways to do it is through contrast. And yes, Spod Mathis, you make a good point. The first Federation from the Carbonite maneuver were good, but they did, like, sort of threaten to murder the Enterprise and everyone on it for a little while there, even if it was just, like, meant to be like a test. It is kind of a messed up thing to do initially. So yeah, I really can't think of but yeah, the reason is that, like, by contrast, if I'm trying to think it would have been nice to see a Star Trek, or like a race or people. I mean, Vulcans are part of the Federation, like Halcyon, so yeah, I mean, Talaxians were all right, but they're not like a major power. So yeah, the reason is you just show the Federation is great by contrast, and the whole point of Star Trek is to show that humanity has gotten better, and you show that humanity has gotten better by showing how everyone else has gotten it worse. So yeah. The group that sent Gary 7 back in the 60s to prevent the beginning of nuclear war, yes, they were good, but again, we don't know much about them. We don't know if they're a major power. We also don't even know if they were humans. They might have been humans in the future, sending Gary 7 back. We just don't know enough about them. Also, maybe their motives weren't entirely altruistic. I mean, we know they want to stop a nuclear war, but we don't really know why they want to stop a nuclear war other than they just want to do it. So yeah, it helps out humanity, but they might have a larger motive as well. So yeah, Kyle, you can definitely talk about Gary 7, but I'm not entirely sure if they count for Maggie's question. But good question, Maggie. Hopefully it answered what I could. Do you think a new Q, this is from Mouse Pounder, who I also know out in the is out in the chat as well. We have the question from you, Mouse Pounder, was, do you think a new Q will ever show up in Star Trek? Not John Delancey, but a whole new Q character and actor. Like, what if Star Trek Strange New Worlds had a Q character of some kind? So, good question. So I think first and foremost, as long as, you know, it works out, I do think we will probably see We will most likely see John Delancey Q back in Star Trek Picard. This is me just tossing this out there, but I would honestly be shocked if we did not see John Delancey back in Star Trek Picard. My guess would be like the last scene ever of Star Trek Picard is going to die at the end of, season 3. I think they said they want to go for 3 seasons. So end of season 3, final episode is Picard dies, like officially dies. And he sacrifices himself for some greater good, and everyone's very sad, and that's sort of a good conclusion to a story. But the final scene is Picard's died, he opens his eyes, and John Delancey's there. And John Delancey says something to the effect of like, "Oh, it's good to see you back here, Picard." And Q takes Picard to the afterlife sort of situation. So it's one of those like his story never ends sort of thing. So I do think we'll see John Delancey Q back at some point. I'd be shocked if not. As for another Q that we could see in Star Trek, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there is a long, noble tradition in Star Trek of godlike beings. Like, there's so many godlike beings in Star Trek, Q being sort of the biggest one. I mean, I know Rosario Dawson was sort of talking a little while ago about she wanted to be a Q at some point, the actress Rosario Dawson. But I don't... But I don't know. I mean, I don't think you could do Q post. I don't know if you could have Q in Star Trek Strange New Worlds unless you like had them wipe memories, and I always hate memory wipe storylines because they obviously don't know about the Q by the time we get to Picard's time in Next Generation. Q encountered there was sort of the first to happen. So I don't know if we'll see Strange New Worlds have it, but you could see it in like Star Trek Discovery, see a Q show up, and I wouldn't be against that. But the only problem with the Q is they're just all powerful, and so it's really hard to write stories with Q in it. And I've seen, I don't know, the writers of the modern Star Trek just don't seem to be that interested in that kind of storytelling that a Q would necessarily necessitate. But you never know. I definitely think we'll see him in Star Trek Picard, the John Delancey one. As for a new Q, not entirely sure. I wouldn't count it out, but I wouldn't necessarily say 100% for sure. All right, next question is from Greg, who may or may not be out there in the chat. In addition to the top 3 actors of note in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, so that's Ethan Peck, Rebecca Romaine, and Anson Mount, who are playing Spock, Number 1, and Pike, respectively. Who are the other actors and where might we know them from? Thanks and hope your move is uneventful. Well, thank you, Greg. It wasn't uneventful, but it was strenuous, to be honest with all of you. So it was not necessarily a move. I was just visiting family, so it was like not a move. It was just sort of traveling back. Hey, Solstice, it's good to see you. How are you? So sorry, I'm just getting back on the question here. And you're welcome, Mouse Pounder. So I don't think they've cast anybody in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The only actress that I think that hasn't been officially confirmed for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I would be kind of shocked if we didn't see them, would be, well, I guess there's 2. There's the one woman from the episode Ask Not, the short trek that Pike was like pretending to be like a bad actor and pretending to like trick her into, the test episode that Captain Pike appeared in Short Treks, and she was sort of the girl that went to engineering. So I would assume we'll see her. I forget the actress's name. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. Ask Not actress. You're gonna quick see my. Short Treks Ask Not. So let's see. The actress was. You can see her like right there. Let's see. Amarit Kawar. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. That's her right here. This is actually there's a very nice picture of her. It's a very nice headshot. Okay. So what has she been in? Let me see. She's younger than I am. She was born 1993, so that makes me feel bad. Someone younger than me being in Star Trek. How dare you? Let's see. Bachelor's degree in acting. It doesn't look like she's done much. I think I checked her out on IMDb a little while ago. And I think she didn't have much on there either. yeah, it looks like she's done like a Bollywood type film or TV show. It looks like something along those lines. Yeah, this looks like a Canadian Indian film, something like that. So she hasn't really done much. So I don't really know if you would have seen her before this. There was also one other actress who was both on the. There's a couple other things that she was doing. Yeah, she was on Trek Central. So I really hope she just looks. I like her style, by the way. Like, she just looks freaking boss. I like her. I really hope she gets to come on to Strange New Worlds, because she'd be nice. But yeah, so I would think we'll probably see her, but I don't think there's any other major actors that have been hired. All right, so next question. Christina Dalliance, favorite Garrick episode. Ooh, so I've actually just been rewatching a bunch of Garrick episodes for my own gratification lately, just because I like Garrick episodes. And I'm trying to think of like what my favorite ones. I mean, the easy one to say would be In the Pale Moonlight. I mean, that's everyone's favorite. And thank you, Avery, for saying you like the Farscape podcast. I'm really enjoying doing that with Council of Geeks. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But so In the Pale Moonlight's sort of the easy Garrick episode to talk about. I mean, it's probably my favorite episode of Star Trek overall if I really thought about it. But hey, Council, good to see you. I'm enjoying it as well. I'm looking forward to us recording tomorrow. We had to skip last week because I had a birthday. Let's see. What was I saying? I'm blanking on words because I just I'm being too distracted today. Favorite Garrick episode. So In the Pale Moonlight, great episode, but I think that's sort of an easy one to say. If I had to pick one where I'm really thinking about it, I probably would have to say, it's probably a three-way tie, honestly. I mean, I'd have to sit here and think about it. The three ones I would definitely put up for favorite Garrick episodes. You have The Wire, which is a great Garrick episode where basically Garrick gives three different backstories. He's getting sick, he's dying, caused by sort of an implant in his head that was given to him when he was part of the Obsidian Order. And as he's dying, he keeps trying to get Dr. Bashir to stop treating him. He just wants to die. And so to do that, he keeps telling different backstories to Bashir to make Bashir hate him. And each backstory is slightly different. You can tell that he's lying. You're never really sure which backstory is the right one. And that's a lot of fun. It really speaks to Garrick's character of someone who you never really know his backstory, but it also kind of shows a lot of who he is as someone who does kind of want to die, who doesn't have the best opinion of himself. It's kind of a really tragic episode, but one that fits him really well. So you have that one. Let's see. There's two more that I was thinking of. Our Man Bashir. I really love Our Man Bashir. I mean, I love Garrick's sort of moral ambiguity in that episode. He's willing to let everyone get killed in that episode. So I would definitely really highlight Our Man Bashir. It's just a fun Bond episode with Garrick kind of always like teasing his boyfriend Bashir in that episode. So that was just a fun romp, I think, with Garrick in there. And then I forget the name of it. I think it's called. It's the episode. It's the 2-part episode. The second part of it where Garrick is trapped with Bashir, Worf, and Gowron in the prison camp by the Jem'Hadar and the Dominion. And Garrick kind of has to deal with his claustrophobia to try and save the entire crew. That's a really, really fun episode. I think that's a very strong Garrick outing. But I think, having talked it out, I think probably my favorite Garrick episode is probably The Wire. I think The Wire is just probably his strongest episode as a character. If you're talking about favorite episode with Garrick in it. My favorite episode with Garrick in it would probably In the Pale Moonlight, but my favorite Garrick centric episode would be The Wire. All right, next question. I think there's a couple more that people have posted while I've been on here. So let me just quick refresh. Yep, one more question. So there's two more. Eli Bergmas. Hi, Eli. I know you're out there in the chat, or at least you were. The question was, what's the question you've most expected that no one has asked? Great question. I won't answer it. I mean, I won't answer the question that you're asking me, but I actually am surprised. Most people ask me questions about Star Trek and stuff during these AMAs, which is totally fine. I mean, me talking about Star Trek? What a surprise. So I'm always happy to talk about Star Trek and things like that. The thing that I'm actually surprised no one asks me in these AMAs, because you can ask me anything as long as it's fairly appropriate, is just ask me about trans stuff. I talk a lot about trans stuff and trans issues and things like that. So I'm not, it's wherever you guys want to take the conversation. It's wherever you guys want to ask me. But I'm just surprised there's not more trans stuff or LGBTQ questions in these, in the AMA stuff, which is totally fine. I don't really know if I have a specific question that I'm like, oh, surprised no one's asked me that. But no one, I'm just surprised that whenever I do these every month that there's less LGBTQ or trans-focused questions, just because that's a huge focus of my channel. But again, that's totally okay. You guys dictate the content in terms of the AMA, so I'm not upset or any worried about it. But that's sort of the question. So next question and final question before I jump back into talking with all of you out in the chat is from Paul Heelan. Trans Stuff, a new podcast from Jessie. Hey, I did a podcast years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, literally called Trans Nerdy Podcast. It's me just ranting about trans issues for a very long time. I think it might still be up. I don't know if it's still be up, but yeah, I did do a Trans Nerdy Podcast. I don't want to center just trans stuff. I'm just surprised that it's not just trans stuff. Anyways, last question. Speaking of godlike powers, if you got the chance to be cast as one, what would you want to be? To cast as a god, or as if you're out there in the chat, let me know what you meant by this question, because I'm a little bit confused. Do you mean if I was cast as a god, who would I be? Or if I was cast as someone in Star Trek, who would I be? Because those are both different answers. Or maybe the same answer. Maybe I'll be a god in Star Trek. It'd be kind of fun. Well, I guess I'll answer both questions, if Paul, if you're not out there in the chat, just in case. I think if I was cast as a god, I mean the fun answer would be Loki, right? And MG Toe Lucid Dream, I will answer your questions, just so you know, but just to calm down a little bit. I have to answer these ones first, and then I'll answer other questions in the chat. So I will get to you. Don't worry. Just because I see you chatting there. But anyways, Loki would easily be the god that I want to play. I mean, come on. Loki's easily the most fun god to play. I mean, he's a trickster. He can kind of be anything. He's gender fluid. They're gender fluid. Especially in the original, actual mythology. Loki is super gender fluid, which is awesome. So, yeah, I mean, I think the easy answer would be Loki. If I had to pick any god to play. Though the hard thing is Loki's a really hard god to play. I feel like, Tom Hiddleston does a great job as him in the Marvel movies. But he's just he's really tough to properly nail. But I definitely think, I think Loki. Now, I'm trying to think of who I would be if I was in Star Trek. I mean, honestly, if I was in Star Trek, I'd want to be an original character. I definitely want to play a trans character, but not talk about trans issues. Like, I would want my character to be canonically trans and it come up from now and then, but not necessarily be a trans character. Now, if I had to pick a role, probably science officer. I feel like those most fit what I like to do, or command officer. But I think I feel like I would like being a science officer, but it would be a lot of hard work, and I feel like command is a lot less hard work. You just got to make decisions, really. I can make decisions. Science actually stay up on science and stuff, and do hard research and things like that. So I think I would probably want to be a command officer, maybe first officer or something like that. Not the captain. That's too easy. So maybe a first officer type of role. Who is trans but doesn't focus on trans, but I'd have to think more about the character. So, all right, I think that those are all of the major questions from the live stream, or for this live stream here. So I'm going to switch over to this so you can see my face all big and pretty, and let's just hang out in the chat, and I'll actually focus on the chat here. So sorry if I also seemed, like I said, I probably have been seeing a little bit more distracted than I typically am for my live streams, just because sorry, I'm just also going to vent this a little bit, but my dream job, like literally my dream job, posted up today. And part of the dream job is it requires you to do a video cover letter. So I spent all day like writing a video script for the cover letter that I think is good and I think it'll be fun, but I'm just nervous because I know I believe in myself. Like, I think I could definitely get this job. I really think I have the ability and capability for it. I hate video cover letters. I hate cover letters in general, just because like I'm always like, this is the first impression. It's like, how do I make this unique and interesting and different and better than other people? It's like, you got to do better than other people, and I hate competing against people. It just sucks. I don't like competing against people. I don't like doing other things. So I think it'll be good, but I'm just sort of distracted by it, and I'm like kind of nervous about it. But we'll see how it all shakes out. But I think my script is good, so we'll see how it goes. Anyways, enough about that's out of my head. I just wanted to vent it. How is everybody else doing in the chat? Let's answer some questions. And thank you, Council and Maggie, for saying my face is pretty. I appreciate it. It's nice. I think it's a decent face. So yeah. Anybody, if you have any questions or whatever you guys want to talk about out in the chat, I'm happy to hear all of that. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Let's see. Ute Kerschel. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Maybe you have talked about it before on the channel, but what do you think about Bortus and the Mocklins on the Orville and how they used to talk about LGBTQ issues? I actually have talked about that on this channel before. I did a whole video on it about a year ago, a little over a year ago, that talked about my feelings on the Mocklins. My basic feeling on the Mocklins, if without going into the same depth that I do in that video, is kind of my problem with Orville overall, in that I like the Orville. I think it's a very good show. I rather enjoy it, but it feels rather broad in what it's trying to say, because it was a primetime show, and now it's on Hulu, so hopefully it'll get a little bit more niche. But because it's such a broad show, its metaphors tend to be very wide-reaching and wide scope, and as a result, tend to be fairly shallow and fairly muddled in a lot of ways. They tend to like mix, like the first time they used the Mocklins to talk about gender issues, they kind of mixed intersex issues, transgender issues, and women's issues. Like all three of those kind of got muddled into the first episode they did called About a Girl, which was a Mocklin episode. And so it just kind of got all muddled and messy and didn't really end up having a very specific thing that it wanted to say with its metaphor. And the other times that they've used the Mocklins, again, it just feels very shallow. Like the other episode they did on LGBTQ rights was sort of like, yeah, discrimination is bad. It's like, yeah, you're not wrong, but it's not exactly the deepest of messages. It's a message that I got way back in like Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek The Next Generation kind of did the same thing. And that's not me hating on the Orville. I think those episodes were fine and good. I just don't think that they were the strongest or the deepest of messages that you could have done with those characters. I like the concept of the Mocklins, of a single-gendered species, single-sexed species, or at least predominantly single-sex species. I shouldn't say only a single-sex species, because they aren't single-sex species, as the show actually talks about. But I like the concept of them, and kind of also being like a toxic masculinity discussion as well. Anyways, so that's all that. Someone said they were a hiring manager out there. Maybe, if anyone's interested, maybe towards the end of this video, let me know if you out in the chat are interested or not, but let me know out in the video if you'd be interested in me kind of workshopping my script a little bit, my video script. If I sort of shared my video script with all of you, my cover letter script, if you'd be interested in me sort of reading it out, it might help me a little bit. Anyways, Aaron asked, what movie did you end up watching for your birthday? I ended up watching A Knight's Tale. I love A Knight's Tale. It was a lot of fun. I hadn't seen it before. It's not a perfect movie, but it was a movie that I really kind of had fun with because I was looking for a really kind of fun movie, and you guys in the chat last week gave me a few good movies that I added a bunch to my list, but the ones I ended up watching was A Knight's Tale because it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I ended up watching A Knight's Tale. My birthday was great. It was a lot of fun. I saw people asking me about that. I do want to watch The Librarian, by the way, Cappuccino. I do want, because it seems like it would be a lot of fun. But my birthday was great. I went on a hike in New Mexico. It was kind of relaxing. I always miss hikes, so I went on like a very nice hike in the woods, which was just kind of nice. I was there for like 3 or 4 hours. Then I went out to dinner with my family at we went to a nice brewery, but we tried to stay socially distanced. It was fairly, try to stay distanced from everybody. I got very drunk. Got like a flight of beer and a couple other drinks, which was kind of fun. Then went home, and my family and I watched A Knight's Tale, and then got more drunk. I had a peanut butter cake and presents from my family, which was also great. My family made peanut butter cake. And then after that, I watched some Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And that's a great way to wrap out the night. So yes. Because I've seen you a few times in here, Lucid Dream, I'm just gonna say. So you're asking about libido of trans women, and I also see like you're kind of being demanding about this question. So I'm just gonna answer it. But please, Lucid Dream, calm down. This is supposed to be a fun bit. I will answer questions and things like that, but I'm not gonna be able to get to everybody. So please just goose fraba. But I will answer your question. So with the libido of trans women, I can't speak for all trans women. Just like pretty much every other person, group, identity, people's libidos are randomly are all different across the spectrum. I can't, my libido waxes and wanes. I mean, I like to think I have a decently okay libido, but I'm, by no means like, yeah, let's have sex all the time. I by no means that level of anything. But for me, I don't know. I just seem like I have a normal libido. Sometimes I want to have sex, sometimes I don't. Whatever. And I think trans women in general and trans people in general just have a varying spectrum of libidos. The only thing I will say to that effect is, for me, and again, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, my libido increased after I came out, because before I was, other than in puberty, where I was like, I wanted to have sex with everything because puberty, beyond that, I hated my body, and I hated what equipment that I had to use to do things. And so as a result, I didn't really want to have sex. And so after transitioning, coming out, feeling more in my own body and feeling more at home in my body, I definitely think, I don't know, I just felt like more comfortable with having sex. So I think that's probably the best way to explain it. I feel like, again, I can't speak for all trans people, but I feel like a lot of trans people would feel something similar. Feeling more comfortable in their body means they'll have an increased libido. But again, I can't speak for everybody. So yeah, that's I think that's sort of my question on it. My answer to that. And I see Council Geeks, you got scared by Dax over there. Yeah, I love Dax. She terrifies everybody, even me. I've gotten scared all the time, and stuff. So, yeah, so Lucid, I hope that answers your question. But let's keep it calm and light, and I think we'll talk about other questions now. Yeah, am I glad to have this question after I leave your parents? Yes, I am happy to have this question after I leave my parents. Then to be fair, my parents were always they weren't like having sex in front of me, but they were always fairly open about making out and sharing love and being open about, having libidos in front of us as kids. Not like to a creepy degree, but like a healthy degree. I think it's healthy to have parents who feel like they love each other and make you feel comfortable with sex. I mean, my parents were divorced. So on my dad's side, my stepmom and my stepmom, who I was staying with, I think that they they had a very healthy relationship. On my mom's side, she was Roman Catholic, which is very much like sex is bad, don't even think about it. So it created like this interesting thing in me where I'm like, I love, I'm happy, I'm open and talking about sex, but also I'm like, don't touch me. I'm not Roman Catholic myself, but that sort of like mindset seeped into me. It's like, don't touch my body. It's creepy and weird. But with my parents, with my dad's side of things, I definitely have I think I have a healthy view on sex and talking about sex. Okay. So, let's see. Any other questions? And thank you for the job search question here. Hi, Crawdammy, home again. How are you? How does it feel to be back home? Avery asks. It feels nice. It's a little melancholic. I like being with my family. It was nice to be there, but it's also nice to see my roommate. It's nice to see my cat, who's, I think, hanging out somewhere in this room. I don't know where he disappeared to, but he's somewhere in this room. It's nice to see him. It's nice to be around my stuff again and have access to all my things. That's kind of nice. So yeah, it's nice to be back. I'm kind of enjoying it. Again, it was sad to leave New Mexico, but yeah, I think it's good overall to be back. All right, what else do you want to? The cat is playing. Yeah. He's hiding. He was like right behind me. Now I have no idea where the hell he is, which is kind of scaring me. He will randomly attack me, by the way. There's been many times where I'll just be sitting here and then all of a sudden he'll just like rah and like attack my arm for some reasons. It's like, what was that for? It can actually hurt sometimes too. He could be fairly rough. He plays rough. So I think that's he's in here somewhere planning his move. Not entirely sure where. And it's okay. No worries, Lucid Dream, about being direct. But yeah, we're all here to have fun, and I want to make sure I answer everyone's questions. My cat's name is Newt. So, phone auto-corrected to Catra. That's beautiful. I love it. That means your autocorrect is a She-Ra fan, and I fully support that. Carlisle asks, have you heard about the upcoming Star Wars project, The High Republic? If so, are you interested in it? Yes, I have heard about The High Republic. It's sort of their cross-media, their sort of next big thing in the Star Wars universe, which is like cross-media stuff, kind of like Time Lord Victorious over on Doctor Who, where basically it's just going to be like books, audiobooks, bunch of different like short like animation stuff. Basically, that's sort of the next era, and The High Republic is kind of based off the Old Republic video game set like thousands of years before the Skywalker saga. And my assumption, if that actually goes well, they might even set some movies there, which would be interesting. My feeling on it is, I kind of have a twofold I thought on it. One, I like the High Republic era. I think it's actually more interesting than the Skywalker era, in my opinion, because the moral ambiguity of that era is much more, and political setup of that era is much more interesting to me. The sort of Skywalker era, Rebels versus Empire, while it's a great setup for a movie because it's simple, one side versus the other side, it's fairly standard and rote political situation. I like very complicated politics. That's why I like Star Trek more than Star Wars, whereas Star Wars is like, I have the good guys versus the bad guys generally, and it's fairly easy to figure out who everyone is. Not to say I don't like Star Wars, but I like a little bit more nuance in my politics, and that's something I always got in like the Star Wars books, which I found to be much more interesting to me personally. So going back to the High Republic, I even like the prequels a lot more for that as well. Like, I like the prequels quite a bit, even though their execution is terrible. Conceptually, I like the prequels a lot more because just the politics of that era is just interesting. So I definitely would agree. So I definitely like that element of the prequels. So I think the High Republic interests me in the sense that like it's just going to be a much more complicated era to exist in, and also seeing the Jedi at the height of their powers is also really interesting to me. But there's also an element of me that like wants to see things post. I just like seeing sequels rather than prequels. In my opinion, I like seeing the universe move forward, and I would like to see the Star Wars universe move forward post like the Empire, the First Order. Say what you want about the Disney Star Wars movies. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I don't hate them. Say what you want about them. I liked them, but I just hated that they basically were just a retelling of the original Star Wars series. Like, they're just basically the same basic thing being told over and over and over again, the same basic story as the original trilogy. So I would like to see that universe move forward and do something new and show us, like, a universe healing, a universe that's trying to do better, a universe that's trying to move forward, that's trying to heal from the Empire and the First Order. So I definitely think that I'm interested in the High Republic, but I'm also kind of sad that we're doing prequels rather than sequels. But I also understand why Disney is doing that. Their sequel movies were not super well received, so I understand them going back to something to backwards in time to try and do something new. It seems like it makes sense to me. And you know what? I think I'm more excited for that than I was seeing where the Disney Star Wars trilogy went. I guess that's sort of long and short of it. What other Star Wars books have you read? I've just finished recently reading for the first time the why am I blanking on it? Blue Guy. I've seen every single Star Wars thing and I'm blanking on his name. The Thrawn trilogy. Jeez, that just escaped my brain head. So I just finished reading the Thrawn trilogy and really, really loved that. So that was just a ton of fun. I've read a bunch of other like random Star Wars novels, like the Aftermath books. Read a bunch when I was a kid. I read a lot of like Clone Wars era books, like the Cestus Deception and things like that. Hey, you know what, Council? I don't need your shit posted at your crap about Star Trek. All right, I don't come into your channel and go, oh, Doctor Who's stuff and complaining. I don't know. I don't even know what I would complain about Doctor Who off the top of my head. But yeah, no, I have not been a huge. But to be fair, I like Discovery. I love Enterprise. They're prequels. But to be fair, I like both of those shows despite their prequel settings, not because of their prequel settings. So yeah, I'll come at you, Council. Yeah, I love Enterprise and Discovery almost in spite of their prequel settings, not because of them. But they have from time to time used their prequel settings to good effect. But overall, I think yeah, prequels are. It can be hard to do a prequel right. I think it has been done, but it's difficult to do it. Yeah, now everyone wants us to fight, Council. Next Farscape podcast, you and I will have to duke it out. It'll be fun. Let's see, what else are we talking about? Let's see. I don't like it when YouTube mommy and YouTube daddy fights. Who's mommy and who's daddy? Oh, see, Council asked the same question. Let's see. What do we want to talk about? Yeah, Kyle, I agree with you. That was one thing that always weirded me out about the Star Wars universe too. It's like it's the Old Republic. When I played the Old Republic games, they that you get a ship that is exactly like the Millennium Falcon in those games, and I'm like, so it's been 1,000 years. 1,000 years. We have the same exact ships. I mean, to be fair, you could argue that like technology, you could definitely see it between the prequels and the Empire movies, the original trilogy movies, that technology downgraded. So you could make an argument that like for some reason just technology went backwards in time between those eras. But the 1,000 years, you feel like they would have moved further. But maybe they've hit like maybe the technology just can't go further than that, or like after space travel's been pretty much perfected by the time of the Old Republic, and all the other advances that we see are in like other areas like agriculture or social stuff and things like that. So I don't know, it seems weird, but if it wasn't like 1,000 years, I would probably say I could go with it. But yeah, 1,000 years of time is pretty rough to not advance. Edward, people are singing the Enterprise theme song down there in the chat, and you're gonna get me to sing it. Let's see. Michael Keaton might come back as Batman. Yes, I'm very excited about that, but it also saddens me. This is always my sad thing when I hear good news, because I always have script ideas where I'm like, oh, I have a great Batman Beyond idea. I actually have a film idea for Batman Beyond, and if they do the Michael Keaton Batman thing, I won't be able to bring my Batman Beyond movie to life. But that's on me for not writing it and actually trying to do it. So that's my own fault. But yeah, I am excited to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman. To be fair, I never loved Michael Keaton's Batman. I mean, mine was always the animated series Batman. Was always my personal favorite. Michael Keaton, I mean, I love Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is freaking amazing. Every movie I see him in, I love him in, like Birdman, Vulture, basically any, aviary-centric villain that he plays or character that he plays. I love Michael Keaton in. So I'm excited to see him back. But yeah, he wasn't my personal favorite, so I'm not as excited about it as probably other people are. But I am very excited to see Michael Keaton back, just for the implications of what it means for the DC universe going forward. I did watch Return of the Joker. I've seen every single DC movie, period. And when I say I've seen every single DC movie, I mean I've seen every single live-action movie, including Steel. I've seen literally every single DC action movie, every single animated movie they've done, and all of their kids' movies they've done. I've seen every single Lego DC Batman movie they've done, and Lego DC Superhero Girls movie that they've done. I've seen literally every DC movie. I'm a huge DC fan, so no worries. There was a question. Someone asked a question that I did want to answer, but now I'm blanking on it. Kyle, let's see. Yeah, I agree, Count. So Keaton's Batman did feel unhinged in a sort of bloodthirsty psychopath kind of way. Harley Quinn, love Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn animated series is one of my favorites. The finale's this week for season 2, and I'm very excited about it. I won't talk about it because I think Council is actually, we were talking about it when we were recording our Farscape podcast, but Council is actually watching Harley Quinn, so I don't want to spoil it for Council, so I won't talk about it. But Harley Quinn, the animated series, I adore. Though one of my Patreons actually brought up does have a bit of anti-Semitism in it, but so that's, that is one thing in there. But it's not for me necessarily to speak on it, but it does make me a little bit uncomfortable. But I do like the Harley Quinn animated series, so. I mean, there are talks. Keaton is returning for the Flash movie, but there are talks with around him being in more than just the Flash movie, that he might actually appear in other movies. So if that ends up happening, that would be super cool. So it wouldn't just be the Flash movie. You might actually get a Batman Beyond movie. It would be a ton of fun. Let's see. I hope Strange New Worlds is both plots that completely discrete and can be watched in any order. B plots that are series arcs. I agree, Seal. That's actually what I hope Strange New Worlds is as well. That's how I would structure it. That each episode is fairly standalone, but that they'll have an overall arc that can that'll run through it a little bit. That are mostly character arcs. Maybe not the discovery route of things, Star Trek Discovery route of things, where every episode is this big overarching story with individual episodes, but each episode is its own story, contained wraps up the main plot by the end of the episode. But then you might see character things Pike dealing with the fact that he's going to be exploded in his future at some point down the line, or Spock dealing with something throughout the season, things like that. I think that would actually be a lot of fun. And yeah, Langley, you bring up a good point. This is something that Renegade Cut brought up as well in his review of Harley Quinn, is that the showrunners are Jewish. So, it's one of those they may be poking fun at their own selves and their own culture, but it is a little bit rough. The anti-Semitism in Harley Quinn. Again, it's not necessarily for me to say. I do condemn anti-Semitism wherever it shows up, and I'm sad that Harley Quinn has it. Especially in a show that I think otherwise is great. But it's not necessarily for me to discuss what goes on within the Jewish community and how Jewish people portray themselves and make fun of themselves or not make fun of themselves. So that's not necessarily for me to talk about, but I do find it disappointing that it is in the show. But again, it's not for me to say. So let's see. Because I'm not Jewish, if that wasn't evident. Loved Man in the High Castle. Man in the High Castle is a great show. It got a little bit long in the tooth towards the end, as most shows of that type do, but I do think that it was a very, very strong show. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I agree, Micro Raptor. I don't really, I mean, all the anti-Semitic jokes, all the like Jewish type of jokes that are in Harley Quinn, I don't really laugh at them. So, Aaron Brown asks, have you started The Last of Us 2? I did. In fact, do I have the case here? Nope, my case is out in the other room, but my PlayStation's right here. So I have been playing it. I've started it. I'm in Seattle. I won't spoil anything. I won't spoil anything about it, but I am really enjoying it quite a bit. I am planning on, I know it's going to be behind everybody. I'm not exactly going to be up to date with everybody. But I am planning on doing a video on Last of Us, talking about, again, just sort of wrapping up the controversy on it, like the trans issues and LGBTQ issues and the transphobia that have sort of sprung up in the community around it and the negativity around it, the game. But for me personally, I can tell you, being only a little ways into it, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. There is one big twist at the beginning of the game that I won't spoil, but it hit me hard. It made me, you know, if you caught me when I was playing it on Twitch the other night, if you saw it, was like that moment really hit me hard. It was very shocking. But I'm not against it like other people. So that's sort of my thing. I am very excited for the Edward. I am excited for The Expanse as well, season 5. The Expanse. I need to do a video on The Expanse. I do plan on doing a video on The Expanse in the near future. It's one of my favorite shows. In fact, it's probably my favorite science fiction show on TV right now. I say that as a Star Trek fan. But I think The Expanse is probably my favorite sci-fi show on right now. And my plan is to do a video on it, sort of comparing the economic futures of The Expanse and Star Trek. I want to use The Expanse really to talk about universal basic income, actually. I want to talk about like sort of the different types of socialism present in, you see socialism on Earth in The Expanse, and then you see socialism throughout all of Star Trek, even though Star Trek is a bit more vague than The Expanse's socialism is. And I think there's an interesting thing to be talked about with the comparison of the two. So I think probably if I do the video on The Expanse, it might be sort of like a look at socialism representation in The Expanse. And sort of talking about universal basic income and ideas like that and sort of issues around that. So using that show to sort of talk about those things. You can also talk about the creeping power of authoritarianism, in the problems of authoritarianism that you can talk about in The Expanse. That's sort of another interesting way to go. So yeah, I do want to talk about The Expanse, but if I do talk about The Expanse, I want to use it for like some really thought-provoking political thing, which is going to take a bit of research to do. So I do want to talk about it at some point, but those are sort of the ways I'm going to go. But if you have not seen, Christy mentioned that you haven't seen The Expanse. If you haven't seen The Expanse yet, I'd highly recommend it. Such a great show. Probably, like I said, probably my favorite science fiction show on right now. Gretchen Badger asks, how are you holding up and all the craziness? And the last couple weeks have been tough. I wanted to check in on you. How are you going this week? I'm doing really good. Yeah, thank you for asking. I appreciate that, by the way. It's very kind of you to ask. I'm, checking in with myself right now. I'm doing fairly good. I'm having a bit of anxiety of, like, feeling like I'm not doing enough. Like, I'm actually ahead on all my videos. Like, I have, like, 6 videos done for the next month. So all my major videos for the next month I have done. And I actually just finished last night my favorite. Actually, a video I'm very excited to show you guys. There's a video I'm doing in 2 weeks that's going to come up that I'm super pumped for. Council of Geeks actually is in it as well. He guests on it, and a few other people guest in it. I think it's probably the best video I've ever done. But anyways, sorry, getting to the actual question. So I have a bunch of videos done. But and I have plans to do more, and I'm actually way ahead of things. But there's just an anxiety of like, I need to do more things. And so actually, in a way, I'm actually kind of excited that I have this video cover letter thing that I have to do, because it's like, oh, something I can actually work on. Something that actually feels like I can be productive and not just like sending things out into the ether on YouTube. Not that YouTube is an ether, but like I can make YouTube videos till I die. But there's not going to be an endpoint for it. So I could just like keep having anxieties. Like, I need to do more YouTube stuff. I need to do more YouTube stuff. So I could keep going down that route, but there needs to be a point of like I need to relax and be okay. That I just need to take time to relax. The problem with YouTube is that you can put an endless amount of work into it and then burn out. And so, but right now YouTube is, other than like job search stuff, YouTube's the only major thing that I have going on right now. And you know, it is what it is. So it's just trying to find the balance of like trying to be productive, trying to keep myself moving forward, but also trying to relax a little bit. But again, I have that cover letter I need to do now, so we'll focus on that. And Council of Geeks, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Aw, I appreciate that. Now I feel bad that I haven't given on your live streams. You are wonderful. Thank you, Council. And hey, you've been doing more research yourself, by the way, Council, for your videos. I've seen you trying to be all professional and doing highfalutin type of stuff. So you don't sell yourself short. You are wonderful as well, Council. Okay. So, Kyle Brown, Twilight Zone iterations. Actually, isn't Twilight Zone coming out tomorrow? The new season of Twilight Zone starts tomorrow. I believe the new season of Twilight Zone starts tomorrow. And so I'm actually very excited about that. I love the original Twilight Zone show, obviously. That show's fairly great. But I did like Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone. I thought it was solid. I didn't see the other Twilight Zone. There was like another one or two other ones that happened over the years, but the recent one with Jordan Peele I actually liked. I thought it was a bit on the nose, but that's kind of Twilight Zone's thing, is being very on the nose with its metaphors. So I did really like that. And no, Christy, I didn't see that. Would you send that my way on Twitter? I would actually be interested in seeing that multi-trans collab on JKR's essay. That would actually be great. And then Seal asks, True Trans Soul... Sorry, Microraptor. I like that song. True Trans Soul Rebel is a great song. Stand on fanfiction these days. Well, I will leave you with this. That video I was talking about, that might be my favorite video I've ever done. Let's just say it's about fanfiction and the history of fanfiction. That wasn't a tease. That was just me literally telling you what it was. I'm bad at teasing. Yeah, that's what the video's about. But I'm actually very excited about it. I have a bunch of guest people, councils in it. A bunch of other guests are in it, including a Star Trek actor. A certain Star Trek actor may be appearing in my video. So I'm very excited to share that video with all of you, to tease it. Okay. So I don't want to spoil all the surprises, Avery, and tell you all who's in it. You'll have to watch the video and see who's in it. Like I said, I think I just finished it, but I think have a good night, Council. I think I'm going to post it the first week. It's either going to go up the first Friday or second Friday of next month. So either in not this Friday, but either next Friday or the Friday after that, I'll be up. Okay. So last thing that I want to do with all of you, I'm gonna wrap out this live stream, if that's okay with you, in 10 minutes. But I want to do one more thing. Would all of you be okay if I read a version of my script, my cover letter script, just to see what you guys all think of it? I would actually really love to hear your thoughts on my cover letter. Let me know what you guys think in the chat if that's something you'd be interested in hearing. And Edward, thank you so much. Let me just answer your question real quick. Which episodes in a science fiction series had you cry like a baby? For me, it was Home in The Expanse Season 2 and Sleep in the Light in Babylon 5 Season 5. Yes, I agree completely. The one that, I mean, I could probably think of more, but two episodes that come to mind immediately for me that made me just sob like a baby. The first one is the Lost series finale. I know everyone hates the Lost series finale. People are controversial on it. I really like the Lost series finale quite a bit. And it was also a show that I meant so much to me. It was the first show that I found a community in besides Star Trek. And it was a show I got to watch week to week and be sort of in on it. I got to talk with my friends at school. It felt very, as much as I love Star Trek and I did find community on Star Trek, Lost was a show that I actually got to talk with people at school about. People that didn't watch Star Trek at my school. So watching the end of Lost just made me weep. And it also was a very sad ending. And then the other episode of Star Trek, or not Star Trek, the other episode of science fiction that made me weep was the Jurassic Bark from Futurama. If anyone knows the episode of Jurassic Park from Futurama, that episode will make you bawl. That episode just tears my heart out every single time I watch it. Every time I watch that, it tears my heart out. And one other thing that made me cry. I wish Council was still here, because Council would make fun of me for this, because I know Council didn't particularly love it. But I still sob every time I watch David Tennant's final speech on Doctor Who. It's like, I could have been so much more. Like every time he gives that speech about how much he could have been, but then he realized, like, this is what I need to do. I need to do this. This is the right thing to do. It tears me up every single time. So I think those would probably be the three. Like David Tennant's final speech in Jurassic Park, just get me. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, David Tennant has that final speech. It's great. And then you have that really long coda that was a bit unnecessarily long, but I kind of enjoy it. And then you're like, all right, this is sad, but I'm kind of recovering. I'm okay. This is a good goodbye. And then he just says, I don't want to go. And you're like, this all starts bawling again. Such a great episode. I as much as I have problems with the end of time as an episode, the final, like, 30 minutes of that episode are heartbreaking. All right. So, let us take a look at my script for my cover letter. So I am going to ask, this might be a dumb thing to say, but so I'll tell you what the job is for, because I'm going to have to for it. This might be a dumb move, but I will ask. I trust all of you, and I might not put up this live stream. I might not save this live stream just because of this, but please don't anyone take this. This is I wrote it today. It's something that means a lot to me. This job is a dream job. So I am trusting, putting this out on a live stream live, that this writing is not going to get taken. So I do ask all of you to please don't take this. It would really suck if someone took this. So I do want to workshop this, but please don't take it. That's all I ask. Yeah, so we'll say that. I'm trusting all of you. Okay. So, please don't do what? Someone's saying please don't do that. See, now I'm kind of making myself nervous. Should I do this? Because not that I don't trust all of you. You guys are all wonderful. But I just get nervous about putting this out there because I don't want it taken. Okay. So I will share. We're going to do this. Like I said, please just, I beg, please don't take it. Okay. So the job that I am applying for is, I don't know. I'm nervous. Not that I think it's bad, but I'm just nervous about it going out in the ether. Fuck it. We're gonna swear it on the live stream. Screw it. But okay. I'll just, you know what? Here's what I'll do. Here's my basic concept. I will just give you the basic concept of the video and not give you the nitty gritty specifics. Fair enough? Sounds good? Okay. I'm not going to do it, but I'll give you the sort of pitch of what my video is going to be. And then that'll probably be the best way to go forward. So the video basic concept is I want to do it kind of in the same exact vein as the videos that I did with Council of Geeks and Steve Shives a few weeks ago, where it's like a fake Star Trek episode. So I have 2 minutes to do this. 2 minutes to the video cover letter has to be 2 minutes long. So the basic concept is it's going to start with me on the bridge of the Enterprise, and basically I'm an ensign talking to myself, this sort of captain character that I also have. So I'll be playing the ensign and the captain will basically interviewing me for the job, and I'll basically just go through the thing. So you'll have me standing in front of the view screen, next to the view screen on the front of the ship, and then the captain being in the captain's chair. And the captain's just sort of asking me questions, and there's some back and forth jokes, like one of the jokes that I wrote here, like, what does it say? Like, the ensign's up at the screen is like, also, I know After Effects. And then it'll, like, on the view screen, like, some crazy After Effects thing will appear there, like some crazy motion graphic sort of thing. And then the captain will be like, After Effects, and, like, again, more After Effects stuff will just appear. And the ensign will be like, yeah, After Effects. I can even do lens flares. Then it cuts back to the captain, and the captain's going to be covered in lens flares. Like, you can't even see the captain anymore because there's just blinding lens flares. And then the captain will just be like, my eyes hurt. And then it cuts back to the ensign and keeps going. So things like that. Sort of like jokey ways to talk about my experience. Things like that. So this is for a job. This is for a job cover letter. Okay. So that's going to be the first part of it. Then about a minute into the video, minute and a half into the video, what I want to do is, like, the captain's going to ask, all right, those all sound like great qualifications, but let me ask you, why do you want this job? And then the ensign's just going to have this, like, moment of panic, like, why do I want this job? Why do I want this job? It'll start echoing in the head of the ensign, and then it'll cut to me, like, actually me in bed. Like, and I'll just, like, have spolted away. It's like, oh, what a weird dream. And then I take off the blanket I'm having bed, and I'm, like, wearing the full Star Trek uniform. So I'm wearing the full Star Trek uniform. Hop out of bed, and then I teleport away. I'm gonna teleport out of my bedroom, and then because I'm in LA, I'm gonna teleport to Vasquez Rocks, and I'll be in front of Vasquez Rocks, and, like, the actual Vasquez Rocks from Star Trek. I'll actually drive my car out there. It's only an hour away from where I live. And then I'll basically be like, hi, so this is actually me. You asked for your cover letter to be sincere and open. And I want to end this video not with the gimmicks and gags from the first part of the video. I'll say this shorter, but basically be like, I don't want to have the gimmicks and gags. This is just me being honest. And this is me being sincere and saying, this is why I want this job. And I won't spoil what job it is, but it's a job at a geek company that I really would love to work at, and basically say, like, you know, pop culture and geekdom mean the world to me. They help me learn to be a better person and help me be creative. And I'll just read what I wrote here. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read part of it. Geekdom has informed who I am. It's informed my identity as a queer person, a video creator, someone who tries to be funny, and as someone who wants to use pop culture to show how we can be better people. And so I think, and sort of, like, have a very sincere moment on camera, and then sort of wrap that out. And I think that's how I want to end the video. And then I'll beam away, and it'll just be a shot of Vasquez Rocks. As the final image, with, like, a title card that says, you know, Jessie Earl cover letter information, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's I think that'll be my my cover letter. So yeah, what do you guys think? I saw some people really like that effort, but yeah, I think that's my that's gonna be my cover letter. So I think people, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, cool. That feels very good. Okay. I'm liking that people like it. All right. Any suggestions? Any ideas that anyone has? Or do you think that that's a solid concept? Aw, thank you, everybody. You guys are all lovely. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. You guys are wonderful. Okay, cool. I feel very, very confident in this idea. Cool. All right, everybody. That's going to be my video thing. I think I'm going to wrap out this stream. Someone did have a question. Langley said Star Trek Beyond last night, and I forgot how much I love the TOS uniforms. I love Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond is amazing. So yeah, I think that's great. Hey, Aaron, sorry. Aaron, Ewan, I apologize. I know I'm saying your name wrong. For some reason, it's just not getting in my head. But Cullen O'Neill, your birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for joining me and hanging out here. But happy birthday to you. Apologies if I said your first name wrong. But Cullen O'Neill, happy birthday. Owen, I know you told me last week how to say your name, and I'm sorry that I screwed it up again this week. My apologies. Owen. I'll make sure to keep that in my brain. All right, everybody, that's going to be the end of this live stream. You are lovely and amazing people. Thank you for affirming my idea. Now I just have to go out and actually film it. So that'll be fun. Love you all. You are wonderful, and have a wonderful evening, and live long and prosper as always. You beautiful, beautiful